How, if you're Ian Foster, do you approach these next 2 test matches? With your team selections, with your tactical adjustments, where do you go?
I think they'll obviously take the learnings with the ill discipline. I think you can't afford to give a red card and a yellow card in test matches in one, which we saw on the weekend. So they'll probably want to shore that up for the next couple of test matches against Argentina. But I think you see a continuation of guys getting opportunities. I think, and I don't think it's not going to be disrespecting them, but it'll just be based around, there's not many test matches like you've talked about, Ross, around this year and then going into next year. So you need to be able to give your whole squad an opportunity to play footy. So, and expectation is, it doesn't matter if you've played a couple of test matches or you just play 1 test match. Your job is to go in there and to perform well. So, I think you'll see a continuation of the squad changing up a little bit and giving guys opportunities. But then again, you just want to see the constant improvement in game with their game plan, but then also take the learnings that they had from the last test match that they had as well.
I reckon you'll see them continue to pick on form. I think those guys that were picked and given opportunity were in form in Super Rugby Aotearoa, and they deserve that opportunity through performance. They will now be judged on the performance on the weekend, and the team will be picked accordingly from that and the weeks prior. So form, and I think they've rewarded form, and they've rewarded guys that have put runs on the board, to use a cricket analogy, and I think that'll be seen in this week's team.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because in a situation like that where there hasn't been a lot of gameplay, you almost have to play them to find if they're in form.
Exactly, but there was so much time between the reason they were picked in the squad before they could play.
Yeah.
So they were rewarded for the form they had to get in the squad. Now they've had their lick, so someone like Aki, I believe, gets another crack because he performed very well. Others might not, and the other guys will come back into that selection decision.
Yeah. What about Beauden Barrett? He did the switch from 14 to 15. Were you happy with the way that the Barrett 10-15 combo worked?
Let's just be clear, they weren't given a platform like the week before.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge. I don't think you can say judge Beauden or Geordie, because the early red card and the platform and the organisation, to lose a forward, it does play with your shape, and how your attacking shape, your defensive shape, certain areas of the line-out play, ruck play. Like 5 of the 9 tries the All Blacks have scored have come from line-out, and we couldn't clinch that line-out before half-time, and I think that just shows that there was just a little bit of clunkiness and not the platform provided that we've seen in past weeks to judge them fairly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, again, when you've got kind of people being sent off, and it does have a massive play around your structure, especially even in the 3-2 shape or just in any shape in general. So, but again, I thought, Beauden and, Geordie, when they were having good touches, they were good. Penetrating the line, but Beauden in that first 20 minute stanza where we had a lot of ball was attacking the line, and Geordie was in and around that roving position as well. So I think, given they will, if they do tend to go that way again, they'll have to be given an opportunity, but I think we probably will see Richie slot back in there and then probably putting Beauden back to fullback with Geordie on the right hand wing. I thought, Sevu as well. He was good around when he had the ball in hand. Would have been nice if he had a bit more speed to finish. He'll be the first to admit that, but again, we've got a lot of choices where we can go, but I think they'll probably go with Richie at 10, kept Beauden at fullback, and then having Geordie back on the wing.
I'd love to see some more Nani Lamape, like behind a bit more of a solid platform.
Do you reckon they'll see any more of them?
No, I don't. Well, maybe I'm reading between the lines with Fozzie's comments as saying that he felt he was ready, but maybe he was a little bit underdone from the injury. So you'd probably think Goodhue will slip back in there with Anton, and maybe Anton gets a break and Rico gets a crack at 13 with Jack. Don't know. I mean, that's the interesting makeup, is Caleb on the left, or did Rico do enough to be on the left? I think you've seen a real shift in his energy and what he's providing, so I think he'll find himself in and around the mix. Surely that's Rico, that is.
It can't be easy for them with there as many changes happening week after week after week. I know you see a lot of it in Super Rugby, and I suppose players are used to just slotting in, but at a test match level, with the amount of intensity that's coming at you, to know exactly what's going on inside and outside of you must be a fairly important thing.
Well, It's hard. It's hard when there's red cards involved as well. You know, if it's 15 on 15, then it's so much easier to have an understanding what your shape is and where you're supposed to be on the field. But when those little things get taken, when scooter goes off and offer goes off, it changes a lot around. And we talk around Nani and Nani's impact on the game. It's hard for him to get in the game as well when we're not getting that front foot forward like we did the week before. So all those kind of things that happen around that game plan, it probably doesn't help us when it comes to our game plan attack. But I don't know.
Yeah, because we kicked a lot. We kicked a lot more
in the first half.
A little bit aimlessly, I thought at times. So it didn't allow guys like Nani to get in the game, and then he was subbed, and then. So yeah, it might be a little bit unfair, but he might be back in the mix. I mean, he certainly deserves to be in the discussion, obviously. But like you saw him when he crashed. I think he went over the top of Wilson, although in that channel. So we know how destructive he can be. But, I don't think it's fair as well on. It sounds so bad here, but I don't think it's fair on Bodie either. Like I still would love to see him get a good platform and some good quick ball. When Webby came on, provided him some good ball. It looked really good. But I think Richie will probably slot back into 10. There's a lot of guys that will probably wanting to have their time again. But yeah. I think they'll revert back to a few selections, but I do want to make it clear that test was the most intense of the four.
Yeah.
Through the red cards, through change. So, even if we'd put out the other side, those because Offa's been there the whole time, so those factors probably still would have played out, and that was probably the most intense test match atmosphere of the four. So it can't all be doom and gloom for those guys that were out there.
Is he getting paid for plugs for Bodie? Do you think? Is money being passed?
He's been a good teammate.
No, I'm not being a good teammate. I don't like that because I've rewarded Richie. I've pumped Richie up as well. I spoke about, but he's done the business. And he's had such a great platform. And I won't even argue it. I love you, Bodie.